Good morning, people. So I hope whatever few things we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, things were clear. Okay? Good morning, everyone out there. So the thing is that I gave you a question in yesterday's lecture. Did you attempt it? The paradox, or they explain the paradox between sex ratio is improving and child sex ratio is declining. Did you attempt that? Very quickly tell me. Good morning, everyone out there. Good morning, Kriti. Good morning, Padma. So yeah, tell me very quickly. Did you attempt? That explain the paradox that on one hand, the sex ratio is improving. Okay, fine, you have attempted, right? So let's have a quick discussion. Okay? So one thing is clear, we did discuss about what is sex ratio, what is child sex ratio, and I gave you this. Okay, you have sex ratio, child sex ratio. Now there are two set of things that has to be written. On one hand, sex ratio is improving. And on the other hand, child sex ratio is declining. Give me the arguments. Anything that comes to your mind. Chalo, even if you have not attempted, it's okay. Absolutely no issues, Shraddha. If you cannot think of many points, absolutely no issues. इसीलिए तो हम लोग हैं, we'll conduct the discussion. ठीक है? तो चलो, easy way out is why child sex ratio is declining. Child sex ratio declining matlab that people don't do, either there is female feticide which is happening or infanticide which is happening. Basically, girl child's desirability is less. CSR declining due to son meta preference, leading to missing girl child. Okay, Arpit. Male mortality is more than female, sample size of adults. Okay. Socio-cultural factors, fine. Something else, something more concrete. Why we don't want a girl child? Do you realize that one of the main reason why you don't want a girl child, because girl child is considered as an economic liability, because there exists what is known as practice of dowry. You have to give very concrete arguments. So the girl child is considered as an economic liability, and because of the practice of dowry, that is why desirability is not there. Okay. Secondly, there is what is existing known as patrilineality plus patrilocality. बहुत ध्यान से सुनो अब पहले. There are two things which needs to be understood, and this was mentioned in your economic survey 2017, that there are two aspects of a family system which also reduces the status of a girl child. One is patrilineality and second is patrilocality. Patrilineality says that you trace your lineage from your father's side, right? So if you have to carry out that lineage over generations, you need to have a son. Right? So that is also one of the reason why status of girl child is less as compared to boy child, because your lineage is getting traced from your father's side. So if you don't have a son, then who would be carry forwarding your lineage? And most of our families are patrilineal. You are having the property rights, you are inheriting the properties from your father's side. You inherit the surname from your father's side. Even if your immediate kin group is also from the father's side. So that is patrilineality. Is that very clear? And secondly, patrilocality. Patrilocality means after marriage, women is going to husband's house. Okay. Now the thing is, because of patrilocality, are you understanding these things? Is it very clear for everyone? See, hold. Don't give me the points right now. Just listen to what I'm saying right now. So there is patrilineality and patrilocality, and if you don't understand anything, please let me know. Patrilocality says that after marriage, women is going to husband's house, right? And now the Hindu Succession Act, is everybody aware of the fact that it has been amended? Now the girls, the daughters have equal right in the ancestral property. Now, if you have the equal right in ancestral property and there is patrilocal families, matlab after marriage, women is going to husband's house. So it will lead to fragmentation of property. खुद सोचो, पहले तो क्या था ना कि गर्ल चाइल्ड को प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स नहीं थे, Hindu Succession Act, but now it has been amended. So the girl child has a right in the ancestral property and that also equal right. Now the challenge is that since you have patrilocal forms of families, matlab after marriage women is going to husband's house, okay, wait. So after marriage, women is going to husband's house. So there is a fear of fragmentation of property. Economic survey clearly specified in 2017-18 that patrilineality and patrilocality are the most important factors responsible for declining child sex ratio. Patrilineality का मतलब होता है दिव्यांश that आप अपनी lineage trace कर रहे हो from your father's side. आप लोग कौन सा किसका सरनेम लगाते हो? पापा का लगाते हो ना. I'm not talking about one or two exceptions of matrilineality, but usually we have patrilineal families. So whose surname are you using? Your father's surname? In fact, your mother's surname also have undergone a change, right? So you are using your father's surname. Your rights are there in your father's property. So that is patrilineality. You are tracing the lineage from your father's side. Is that very clear? So the girl child is considered as an economic liability. There is the provision of patrilineality and patrilocality. Then there is male preference of child. Matlab, we prefer male child because of the ritual practices also. हमारी religious practices है ना, ritual practices. Who would lit the funeral pyre if you do not have a son? Who will do your pinddan if you do not have a son? So there is a desirability for male child, and also male child acts as a social support in your later ages. So you prefer a male child. So there is a desirability for male child, and obviously you cannot have n number of children. So the point here is, since there is a desirability of male child, that is also one of the reason why there is feticides which are happening. Is that very clear? Now you people are mentioning again and again son meta preference, and there was a student who has mentioned son meta preference along with the concept of missing girls. So let me give you a clarity here. Son meta preference matlab you will keep on having children until and unless you have desired number of male child. For those who are not aware of the concept, it is son meta preference. और इसको ध्यान से सुनो because we often get confused. Son meta preference means that you will keep on having children until and unless you have desired number of male child. Is that very clear? ठीक है, तो अब suppose you want 4 male child, so in that process you can have any number of girl child also, but you will continue having children until and unless you have desired number of male child. So this does not result into missing girls, this result into unwanted girls, and because they are unwanted, they are denied proper nutrition. They are denied proper care, which results into infanticide or child mortality. Is this very clear? Is this very clear? I'll answer all your question because the portal is moving so fast that I cannot even read a single response. I'll just get back to it, but let me just finish this. So CSR is declining. Are these arguments making sense? Okay. Then you remember I used a term for you in the previous class, that is cultural lag. That although the technological advancements are happening, but the value system is still the same. Now let us see what about the urban middle class. The urban educated middle class. Listen very carefully. Urban educated middle class. So cultural lag says that this urban educated middle class is getting access to technology. Technology for sex selection, technology for abortion, right? And they are already educated, they are aware, they know the benefits of family planning. So they are going for small families. But within that small family, what has not changed is their core value, and which says that within that small family, there is a preference for male child. So education, if not given in the right direction, will not serve the purpose. Now see, urban middle class, the educated middle class has the education that you cannot sustain a large family because of the cost involved. So they are aware about the benefits of family planning. In fact, they themselves are going for small family norms. But within that small family norms, what has not changed is the traditional value system where there is a preference for male child. And this is a perfect example of cultural lag. That your peripheral beliefs have changed, that absolutely no issues, let's go for family planning. But within family planning, what has not changed is your core belief that there is a desirability for the male child. Is that very clear? Okay. Then most importantly, lack of proper implementation of PC PNDT Act. आपको समझ आ रहा है ना? I will not be dictating this. So you have to keep writing the points. The another point is lack of proper implementation of PC PNDT Act. प्री-कॉन्सेप्शन प्री-नेटल डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट. ये एक्ट आया ही इसलिए था that there should not be any kind of sex determination and there should not be any sex selective abortion. However, due to lack of proper implementation of PCPNDT Act, CSR is declining. Child sex ratio is declining. Another important factor is there is lack of safety and security with respect to girls. And at the same time, the girl is associated with the prestige of the family. This is also one of the reasons that people do not prefer a girl child. People do not prefer a girl child. People do not prefer the girl child. Is it making sense for everyone? Are these arguments making sense? So safety and security with respect to girls is not there, and at the same time, the girl child is associated with the prestige of the family. So all of these factors have contributed to decline in child sex ratio. One disclaimer, if I give you certain points, that does not mean that that is the exhaustive list and you cannot write more. Absolutely, you can write any number of points. But did you get an idea that this is minimum which is supposed to be written? Is that clear? Now, let's come down to the second aspect. Why sex ratio is improving? Why? PCPNDT. अरे PCPNDT हम पढ़ेंगे बाद में तुषार करंट अफेयर्स में. PCPNDT is pre-conception prenatal diagnostic test. As in, you are diagnosing the sex of the fetus. You are determining the sex of the fetus. You and the after ultrasound and everything, whatever the sex of the fetus is, it is conveyed to the parents. And because of their prejudices or something, if they go for sex selective abortion, so to address this menace in the society, PCPNDT Act was introduced by the government. Is that very clear? Okay. Okay. There are one or two students who are writing patriarchy. Do you realize the moment you write patriarchy, answer comes to an end? Why CSR is declining because of patriarchy? Patriarchy is an umbrella term, it is all encompassing term. When I'll teach you women issues, we will discuss that whenever the question is directly on women, you will never write patriarchy as your answer. Because the moment you write patriarchy, answer comes to an end. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? Okay. Now, why there is sex ratio is improving, right? One of the students, Soumya, has written there is a decline in maternal mortality rate. Absolutely correct. But Soumya, you would not be ending the answer here. You will give the factors responsible for decline in maternal mortality rate. Is that very clear for everyone? Okay. So first and foremost, why sex ratio is improving? There is better access to health infrastructure. There is delay in marriageable age now. And not only that, people are resorted to family planning. There are government schemes with respect to prenatal care, perinatal care, and postnatal care. All of this together has resulted into decline in maternal mortality rate. This is how you can write maternal mortality rate. Janani Suraksha program is basically for institutional deliveries. So prenatal, you have Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. Perinatal is Janani Suraksha Yojana. Postnatal is Janani Sishu Suraksha Karyakram. So you have these things, right? Basically, government initiatives like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao has actually failed. It is not giving you the desired result. तो यहाँ पे लिख सकते हो failure of government schemes. Is that clear? So better access to health infrastructure, delay in marriageable age, there is more norm or more practice towards family planning. There is government schemes which is taking care of the nutritional as well as maternal child health care. So overall, there has been a decline in maternal mortality rate. Most importantly, there is an awareness now among women with respect to their rights and entitlements. There have been various women movements which has resulted or created grounds for women empowerment. Is that clear? And women are tending to live more. That can also be the reason. Specifically, there is a data which says feminization of old age. So sex ratio is improving का reason ये भी हो सकता है, ठीक है? But that is secondary. That is not the most important point. But are you getting these points? ठीक है? Let me just see what you guys have written. एक मिनट देखने देना मुझे. Dowry related deaths has shown a decline. That doesn't matter. Improving में second point क्या है? Delay in marriageable age. See, you now वैसे तो early marriage होती थी. Because of early marriage, there was a pressure to conceive. The women used to get pregnant at an early age, which used to be detrimental for her health, and as a result, maternal mortality used to be high. But now there has been, because of awareness, there has been delay in marriageable age. At the same time, you are having delay in conceiving a child. There is proper spacing. You are going for family planning. There is proper nutritional care which is being provided to you. Institutional deliveries are being ensured. So all those factors has resulted into decline in maternal mortality rate. इसमें क्या स्लो होना है? इसमें तो कुछ अभी पढ़ाया ही नहीं है. These are very general points. If you are following current affairs for past 6-7 months, these are very general points. Yeah, somebody wrote about literacy. Yes, you can write. They are becoming more aware. उसी से उसमें भी आप literacy डाल सकते थे, ठीक है? So educational support is increasing. अरे अच्छा, उसके लिए स्लो होने को कह रहे हो क्या? गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स देयर आर, ये मैंने एग्जांपल देके बताया था. ये प्रीनेटल एज इन एंटीनेटल केयर ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी, यू हैव प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षित मातृत्व अभियान. पेरीनेटल मतलब ड्यूरिंग डिलीवरी, जननी सुरक्षा योजना. प्रधानमंत्री सुरक्षित मातृत्व अभियान, जननी सुरक्षा योजना, एंड जननी शिशु सुरक्षा कार्यक्रम. Absolutely, Aditya. Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, can this be the reason for female feticide? Misuse of any provision. Absolutely. You want to add to it? You can. PCPNDT Act, MTP Act, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, absolutely. So lack of a student is asking, is female discrimination the only cause for child sex ratio is declining? Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But how that female discrimination is manifested, that will form your answer. Now, yesterday I told you there is a question in ethics paper, what are the factors responsible for gender inequality? The moment you write patriarchy, your answer ends there. So do not write patriarchy in the question which are directly related to women, because patriarchy in itself is an umbrella term. Is that very clear? Somebody writing increasing violence against women. I think lack of safety and security we have already discussed. ठीक है? एक बार फुल बोर्ड दिखा दो, फोकस कर दो प्लीज. जितना मैंने लिखा एक बार जूम करके सारा दिखा दो. मैं एक बार रिपीट कर दूं, शुड आई रिपीट इट फाइनली फॉर यू सो दैट यू विल गेट एन आइडिया. ठीक है, पूरा बोर्ड दिखाओ. और हो सकता है? हाँ बस ठीक है. एवरी पॉइंट इज गेटिंग कवर्ड ना? ठीक है. I'll just quickly revisit. See, the question was saying that you have to explain this paradox. So when you are able to explain the paradox only when you establish the paradox in the introduction. Let me give you an understanding कि how you will structure. अब सिर्फ बोर्ड देखते जाओ, मेरी आवाज सुनते जाना, ठीक है? Now see, in the introduction you will establish that there exists a paradox by showing the data. Once you have done that, first you will answer that sex ratio is improving, ठीक है? And then you will be writing child sex ratio is declining. Now, why we write child sex ratio declining later? Because when you are saying or highlighting something which is wrong, so before ending the answer, you also have to provide solution. Because it is a social issue based question. An issue based question may, even if the solution is not asked separately, you have to write briefly about the solution. Is that clear? So first you will write sex ratio is improving, in which you will mention that now there is better access to health infrastructure. The awareness among women with respect to their rights and entitlement has improved. Now they can assert themselves. Women literacy has improved. Now they have literacy with respect to reproductive health. They have literacy with respect to nutritional benefits. They are also aware about their rights. For example, if they are being forced to get married before the age of 18, now they know that child marriage is not allowed. They can raise their voice. They also know various mechanisms for grievance redressal. So that can also be there. Is that very clear? So now there is awareness among women with respect to their rights and entitlements, and that is one of the reason that why their overall health or overall well-being is improved, because of which the sex ratio is also improving. Second and the most important thing responsible for sex ratio was MMR, that is maternal mortality rate. Now there has been a decline in maternal mortality rate overall, and there can be different factors responsible for it. Obviously, there has been a delay in marriageable age because now women is getting access to education also. She is also participating in the labor market. She has become more aware, more empowered. So there has been delay in marriageable age. At the same time, now since she has the awareness, she know about the benefits of family planning. So there is proper spacing between the child. She is going for less number of children. As a result, her nutrition, her health, everything is being taken care of. And most importantly, the government has launched the schemes with respect to every stage of birth, whether it is antenatal, whether it is perinatal, or whether it is postnatal. Is that very clear? So all of these factors has resulted into decline in MMR. Then there have been various movements also. There have been various avenues for women empowerment. Okay. So all of those factors together has contributed in increase in sex ratio. However, the irony is, on the contrary, there has been a decline in child sex ratio. And why the child sex ratio is declining? These are some of the factors. For example, economic liability is one of the most important factor. That is dowry, the practice of dowry. Then patrilineality, patrilocality, preference of male child due to ritual nature, son meta preference. और ये son meta preference लिख के आंसर नहीं छोड़ोगे, ठीक है? After son meta preference, you have to write how it results into unwanted girls. And नाम ही कह रहा है they are unwanted. So if they are unwanted, so lack of nutritional care is provided, and which results into infanticides or child mortality among girls. And then you can talk about the phenomena of cultural lag. You can talk about failure of government schemes. You can talk about PCPNDT and MTP Act have failed to be properly implemented. then you can talk about how on one hand girl is associated with the few prestige of the family and on the other hand safety and security. Can female genital mutilation be the reason? No, that would be very specific. That would be very specific. Okay. Ma'am, can we write state specific schemes which are better than central schemes? Anil, yes, we can do that, but overall schemes would be better. Okay. Or ma'am, could decrease in child sex ratio be an indication for possible decrease in sex ratio in the later stages? Absolutely correct. ठीक है, बिल्कुल सही है. Ma'am, should we explain these in detail or all factors can be explained in 2-3 lines? Totally depend कितने marks का question है and how it is supposed to be written. Solution may educate, organize and agitate. Women ought to have 3 things: agency, autonomy and empowerment. Ambedkar ji का जो ये concept है, the student who has written this, education actually कोई बुराई नहीं है, लिख सकते हो, but that was more with respect to Dalits. ठीक है, so or everybody knows that is more with respect to Dalit. लिखना चाहो तो कोई बुराई नहीं है क्योंकि obviously there can be different interpretations to it, but ठीक है, what is meant by कैसे सवाल पूछ रहे हो भाई तुम लोग? इस पे सवाल पूछोगे तो मैं जवाब नहीं दूंगी. This is only for the response. And finally, you can conclude this answer by explaining that how child sex ratio problem can be improved. ठीक है, so there has to be better implementation, in fact strict enforcement of the act. There has to be attitudinal change. You have to improve the status of women in the society. Is that very clear? Women needs to be introduced as an agency of change. Somebody talked about now agency. Yes, you need to talk about that they have to be introduced as an agency of change. The education system should be such that it should be gender inclusive. Gender sensitization of the society needs to be done. Okay? So all of these suggestions can be given. See? सिंपल श्रद्धा, क्योंकि सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी नहीं है गर्ल चाइल्ड की एंड गर्ल इज एसोसिएटेड विद द प्रेस्टीज ऑफ द फैमिली, सो पीपल डोंट वांट गर्ल चाइल्ड बिकॉज दे थिंक दैट दे विल बी अ सोशल एंड अ मॉरल बर्डन ऑन देम. कल को कुछ हो गया लड़की को तो बात तो सारे परिवार की खराब हो जाएगी. आई एम सॉरी टू यूज दिस, बट दिस इज द मोस्ट लेमैन लैंग्वेज एंड द सोसाइटल एटीट्यूड विच इज एग्जिस्टिंग. Why don't you want a girl child, or why do you prefer to get your girl child marry off early? Because you know that the safety and security is a problem with respect to girl child, and if anything goes wrong, nobody is ever going to blame the person who has committed the offense or the molestation. It is always the girl who will be blamed, or character assassination would start taking place. Abhi recently to hua tha thode din pehle that current ruling party minister, in fact not only minister, I think NCW, yes NCW, and she was elected or she was nominated by the central government only, and NCW की member बोली कि क्या जरूरत थी लड़कियों को रात में अकेले जाने की, अगर जाएंगे तो फिर ये सारी दिक्कतें तो होंगी. Are you serious? We are living in 21st century. How can you make such remarks? So the point here is that needs to be understood. ठीक है. Anyway, Kritika, could you please explain patrilocality and lineality? देखो, child sex ratios हिंदी में सिंपल भाषा में समझाती हूँ. When you don't prefer girl child, that will result into decline in child sex ratio. That is number of girl child per 1000 male child. So if I don't prefer a girl child, okay, now there can be 2 factors. There can be many, but there are 2 factors which results into lack of preference for a girl child. And one of the factor is patrilineality and other is patrilocality. Now your girl child, let us say you have 4 children and your girl child has equal access to property. ठीक है. Now you have 3 boys and you have a girl child. ठीक. Now girl has equal access. That means 25% of the share she has in the property. Patrilocality means the day they get married, the girl will be moving out of the house and going to the husband's house. So now 25% of your family assets has been taken by the girl to the husband's house. So there is a fragmentation of property which is happening, which people don't want. So they don't prefer a girl child because of patrilocality. Is that clear? And patrilineality की वजह से the status of girl child is less in the family. If you don't have a girl child, you will not bother. But if you don't have a boy child, you will bother about it. And let us say that you only have to have 2 children. And within that, you already have a girl child. So next, you always will prefer a boy child because you have a patrilineal form of family. Patrilineality says you